Jason, how are you?
Good. Let me see how this sounds. All right. Should sound pretty good.
You sound good. I can see you clearly on here. I appreciate you doing this. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. I hadn't heard anything for like a month or whatever it was. And then I was like, all right, I got a message. I'm like, all right, well, I guess we're doing this. Let's do it. Let's rock and roll.
Apologize for that. Probably I dropped the ball getting the info to my admin to make sure we were staying on the loop and everything, but I had you on here and I was been looking forward to it. So I appreciate it and I'm glad we're here.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm glad we're here too.
Cool. So I'm going to let some guys in just to give you the format a little bit. Effectively, we'll do the interview, kind of you and I. We run this, we'll run it as a cover feature for Midlife Mail, our digital magazine, which reaches over 20,000 guys every Sunday, all right in our 40 to kind of 55 demographic that are in there. We record this as well. We put it up to our Inner Circle app. We'll put it up on YouTube and embed it out there for guys to listen to the full interview. And steer as many guys as we can in your direction. I think you're out there leading the way. If I have this right, I think you're turning the corner on 40 right now, too. We
I
just
am. Yeah,
did. Yeah.
I'm turning the corner.
Okay, terrific. And look, I've just been a big fan of yours for a while. We'll get into all of this. And I appreciate all the inspiration. So
Yeah, great. Perfect. Awesome.
awesome. All right. Sometimes we get five, sometimes we get 20, with these move around all the time in terms of numbers of guys. I just let people in as they're coming through as well, and we'll roll. So I'm going to let these guys in. We'll say hello. I'll intro this thing and we'll get rocking. How are you on time? So I know also.
I scheduled an hour. Is that right?
Perfect. Yep. All right. We're letting guys in. Hello, Michael. Hello, John. I can start to see people down here. Awesome. Okay. Guys, as more people come on in, I will let them in the room. We've got Jason Khalipa here right now. In the interest of time and to make the most of our hour, I am going to kick this off. And here we go. First of all, Jason, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, great to be here, I should say. I didn't know we were gonna be joined by a group of guys, so I'm fired up. Let's get it going.
Cool. All right. Jason Khalipa is a world champion CrossFit athlete, entrepreneur, author, coach, and family man. He has built gyms, won titles, and pushed the limits of human performance. And today, his focus looks a lot more like the life most midlife men are striving for: family first, fitness for life, and purpose beyond the podium. I have watched Jason evolve from an elite competitor to what I now call an elite midlife male approaching 40. A man who shows up for his wife and kids, takes care of his body, builds community, and leads by example. So thank you again, Jason Khalipa, for being here on Midlife Mail.
Man, I might need to steal that intro. That was great. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
No chat GPT here. Thank you. Boom. Okay. I appreciate that very much. So as a longtime CrossFitter myself, like this is an honor and a privilege to be here with you. I started CrossFitting right around the ranch times.
Okay.
So
Yes,
I made
you've been
myself
around for a while. Yeah.
at 52. So when like Jeremy Teal was
Yeah.
out there, and then I trained for a while with guys like Vic Zachary and Asia Bartow
Yeah.
and Carlos Sabara, the original when there were like four boxes in Houston, Texas.
Yeah. That's
Down
some
there.
throwback. That's awesome.
And got completely hooked on it. And as soon as they moved them out to the Home Depot Center, the games, like I was there every year. Not as a competitor, but to go out and have a good time watching you guys all throw down. Um, And interestingly enough, and I think we see this, you're turning 40 right now. The pivotal time for me was when I first turned 40, I was so excited that I was called the master at anything.
Mm.
I entered the masters division and I was now the youngest guy again from 40 to 44. And that felt really good. As somebody who was a champ, who was out there from the earliest, how are you feeling about to turn the corner on 40?
I feel good. I feel like I'm about to hit my golden age, actually, like right where I should be. I feel great. I feel like I've trained really hard. I've done a lot of different things in business, and I feel like at this age right now, with my life circumstances, with what I've experienced through adversity and other stuff, I feel like right now it's perfect. I'm old enough to learn and have gone through some things, but I'm young enough where I'm still hungry, I'm fired up, I'm ready to rock. And so it's like a combination of those things. So I feel like I'm at a really good place. I'm super excited to turn 40 in like 2 months and really make, 40 be I want to say I think my 40s are going to be our best years. I think 40s and 50s are going to be incredible. That's my gut reaction.
Beyond the gut reaction, why do you think that way? And what's changed in your perspective on life and in training?
Well, I mean, when you're young, I started a company at 21. I met my wife at 14. So I met my wife at 14. We've been together ever since. So I've been with my wife for 25 years, right? Um, I started a company right out of college. And you learn a lot. I expanded to many different locations across many different countries. We've had many employees. I have two children. One of them, got sick with leukemia, and then after that, it's had other things. Like I've been through some stuff, just like everybody on this call and everybody who's listening. And as you get older, when you're young, you don't get it. And then all of a sudden, as you get older, your perspective starts to open, your mind starts to shift. And I feel like I'm at an age where I'm still open-minded, like I'm not closed off in my ways, but I'm aware of certain things now because I've gone through certain things. And so that's what makes me feel like this is going to be a really great next decade, is that I've been through experiences and I know what that feels like. And people could talk to you about it all they want, but as soon as you're going through it, I think that's where it's at. And I think I'm I'm more understanding, compassionate. My perspective has evolved, and I think I'm looking forward to it.
Mm. You mentioned all the things that you've been through and the stuff that we all go through. How do you balance this? The running of the businesses, the training, still showing up for your family. I want to get into what you're doing early mornings with the guys out there now, which I think is amazing. But how do you see it? Is balance even like a word you use?
Not really. It's just kind of like my lifestyle. For me, I believe that training is a tool that levels us up in all other areas. Like I think if someone is not regularly exercising, like they're missing out on the greatest gift they could give themselves and the greatest gift they can give their family, so that they could be an asset and not a liability. I really, really feel that way. And so for me, I wake up early, I train really hard so I could show up as the best version of myself as a husband, as a father for the rest of the day. And then that just kind of flows into everything I do. So when it comes to balance, it's like, for me, I started off in the fitness space relatively young. I started opening up brick and mortar gyms. I still own gyms, but I started a company about 2 years ago, a year and a half, called Train Hard. And the vision of Train Hard is to help men train so they can protect and provide. And I feel deeply, deeply connected to this purpose where I want to help men so that they can run, jump, climb, lift, protect, I want to be able to see guys be able to do those things. I think it's really important. And I want them to be able to provide for their family, not only financially, but through experiences. And so for me, it's like I train so I could protect and I could provide. So if my kids want to go do something, I could always say yes and not say no. And so when you're talking about balance, it's all revolving around the same thing for me. Like I train so I could be the best version of myself and I could show up at work the best version of myself.
Mm. What are the lessons and from that? Because I get it. I guess seeing a void, in the market or seeing men be, I guess, kind of suboptimal, if you will, out there in mass. And I think that's something that, all of us here have in common is that we're trying to become the best versions of ourselves at any age or stage, and to a certain extent break the stigma or stereotype around midlife and the crisis. What are some of these lessons, for you that have come from the gym or from jujitsu and, into becoming a better father, and a husband?
I mean, I think you're intentionally exposing yourself to adversity, so a lot of lessons can be developed. I think positive self-talk can be developed. I think understand what's in your control. I think there's a lot of those things. I think connection. Every weekend I host a free men's workout in a parking lot, and the vision is to get guys shoulder to shoulder to sweat, to do something hard, and then go grab coffee and talk about life after. And I think that men need that. They need that purpose driven hard something and then go connect after. It's very weird to like guys don't ask guys to like go grab coffee. Like it's that they don't do that. They don't go to lunch Very rarely does a guy say, "Hey, what are you doing on Wednesday? You want to grab lunch together?" But I find that if you could do things like, "Hey, you want to go for a ruck or a hike or go for a bike ride or go work out," that's more common. And so I think what you learn is you learn a lot about yourself through training because you're intentionally choosing to do hard things, which I think allows you to show up as the best version of yourself right after that. Like I know for me, after I'm done working out this morning, I am more calm. I'm just a better version of myself. And that's what I'm trying to spread to as many men as possible.
How did you take this idea to execution? What I'm interested in is with this morning group also that you had this idea and did you just go out and start doing it? And what I'm curious is about is because I've kind of watched what you've put out there publicly about how it's organically grown and more guys are showing up and it's more bags that you got to load into the back of your truck because more and more weight. So, how has this really grown and evolved? And what are you seeing, I guess, in those guys that are showing up, in shape guys, out of shape guys, trying this for the first time, barrier to entry, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that guys, whether they admit it or not, I think everybody wants to feel like they have purpose and connection. And I think that it started off by just putting out the text, putting out the whatever. Now we've switched to an email, but we I have personally watched guys use our weekly men's club as an anchor. And I'd recommend any man listening to this, text a few friends, go knock on a neighbor's door and be like, dude, you want to go for a run? You want to go do some push-ups? You want to do some burpees? And just start doing it consistent on a weekly basis. And it starts serving as an anchor for the entire week where people look forward to it. And they don't want to show up to that workout and feel like they haven't done anything all week. And so they start training during the week. The amount of results that any guy listening to this can get in the very short period of time is so powerful. If every guy listening to this stopped drinking for 45 days, did 45 burpees a day, and started off their morning with 45 grams of protein, if that's all they did, just that, those three things, you'd be shocked at how much better shape people would be in physically, but also like what that would do for them mentally because they would earn their confidence every day that they're on this momentum track. And that's what we're seeing through the men's club. Guys are getting jacked, but more important than any of that, they're becoming much more capable. They're able to do things they couldn't do before, and that builds up their confidence. It's really fun to watch.
Hmm. I would have thought maybe you'd be done with the burpees by now. Like,
Yeah.
how many have you done in your life? Is there even,
Mi-
who knows?
Millions. I mean, I twice a week I do 15 burpees a minute every minute for 10 minutes, twice a week. And it's just something I do because I believe it's really important. I believe that all guys should be able to get to the floor and get back up again. I think you should be able to do that countless times. And that's why I have them do it at the men's club as well.
Mm. Do you have a family ritual or routine that you don't compromise on?
I mean, we eat dinner together every night, but I don't know if I would say don't compromise because sometimes the kids have sports and stuff like that. That's a good question. I wouldn't say don't compromise on, but what I would say is that as I'm getting older, I'm being much more intentional in the investments we make. We invest into experiences for our children. Like I just bought a batting cage because it's just such a great way to connect with my son. Those are the things I want to invest into more. My daughter's really into water polo, my son's really into baseball, and I want to invest in anything that allows me to spend time with them. That's kind of like my wife and I, our outlook on things. And seasons kind of flow, right? My kids are 11 and 14 now. And so as the seasons change, I know that I have to be very intentional with the things that I do with them because it's going to change over time.
Mm. Guys, I want to pause for just a second. If anyone's got a question for Jason, I do want to open it up. If you guys want to ask something directly, I've got a long list here, but I want to also acknowledge you guys and ask away. If anyone's got something, just let me know.
Yeah, Jason, I wanted to ask if you coach your kids' teams. I know I coach a lot. We have a couple NFL guys, basketball guys live in the area. When they show up, it's always help out. Obviously, your record in fitness stands for itself. Do they utilize you? Do you maybe just help with the strength and conditioning? I know your kids aren't in high school or anything yet, but how does that work for you? Or you head coach? Like, how do you approach that with the knowledge you have?
Yeah, so my daughter's going into high school like in a week or two or whatever. I support the youth sports by helping out with strength conditioning, but I don't coach. I don't coach anybody in anything other than just like what I know. So I train my children once or twice a week in self-defense. And then I work with groups of kids in fitness, more so just like as like a outside just support, but nothing like structured. Yeah. And I've just found like with my son, I don't know if you found this as well. I don't have a background in baseball. I really don't have anything to share. So I really focus on just trying to be super supportive and then ask like, hey, what is your coach working on? What does your coach have you want to work on? And just kind of being like a sounding board for him. And it's been really helpful for me because it's reduced any conflict because I don't try and coach him in any of it because I just don't know anything about it. And so it's been nice for our relationship because we could focus more on mindset, positive self-talk, stuff like that, and not really focus on, how to hit.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anybody else before?
I mean, I can talk about swimming with him later if you want, Greg. We can wait.
We can, listen, I don't doubt it. You can roll through. I did want to ask you, Jason, that a lot of guys, this is a big topic right now, are chasing these extremes. And obviously you're an extreme athlete, within CrossFit there too. And there seems to be a lot of guys getting caught up in the biohacking, and
Oh
going
yeah.
rabbit hole. And just go back to like what you said a couple of minutes ago, like the simplicity of if guys did these three things for, 45 days. What's your take on this, either basics over biohacking or where in biohacking and optimization, should we be thinking about in terms of long-term health?
I think many, many men aren't seeing the forest through the trees. I don't think they could. I think they're more focused on getting red light and hitting sauna than they are in just eating clean foods and training hard. And so like take my life. I train every day. I also do jujitsu 3 days a week. I have a sauna. I have a cold plunge. I have everything you could think of, but that's like the salt and the pepper. Like the main thing that every guy needs to do is they need to make sure they're prioritizing proteins. They can eat a well-balanced, nutrition. They need to make sure they're hydrating and they need to make sure they're exercising at least 3 to 5 days a week. If they could do those three things and they could build their confidence, then they basically earn the right to get a sauna. And then they earn the right to get a red light. And then they earn the right to maybe start talking about other types of things, right? Peptides and TRT. And those are other conversations we should have that maybe are actually I think all guys should also get their blood work. Because if you find that your testosterone is way low, could really be impacting a lot of these other things. So I would say step one, get your blood work done, see what's going on underneath the hood. And step two, make sure you're doing the basics right. And then from there, you can start tinkering around with all the biohacking stuff.
Michael, I saw your hand was up.
Yeah, I actually, hey, nice to meet you. Thanks for joining. Let me lower my hand. You mentioned you work out, whatever, 6, 7 days a week, right? And I do the same thing and it's fun. But the question I have is as you're aging, and so I used to do a lot of CrossFit. I found that once I went over like 45, it was just crushing my body to the point where I can now only do CrossFit like once a month. And then there's
Right.
like other stuff I've got to supplement and do like not other weightlifting. So what's your advice well, first of all, what do you think about the future of CrossFit? Because I kind of think they've got some interesting challenges that they're going to face. But on top of that, what do you think about like the sport of fitness as you age? How do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, so I work a lot with law enforcement and I work a lot with dads. And I ask, like, what is the priority? The priority for me is to be fit and capable. I need to be able to show up. Like, if my son comes home right now and he's like, dude, let's go play, I want to be able to say yes. I don't want to be so wrecked, so sore, or so hurt that I can't go do those things. So, my number one why is to show up as a husband and as a father. That's my number one why. I'm not trying to win the CrossFit Games. I'm competing in a
You
jiu-jitsu
kind of already
team.
did that, so that's that you can cross that one off
Yeah,
the list.
but that's not my why, right? And then in jiu-jitsu, it's a little bit different. That's kind of something I'm really interested in. But where my training has evolved is that I'm removing movements that just don't provide me the bang for the buck. So like I'm not doing snatches, handstand push-ups, muscle ups. I'm just not doing anything that I think is going to get in the way of my bigger purpose, which is to show up for my family. So if I
That was
think there's
really
a,
my question is, so have you cut out all Olympic lifting, or is it like
I
some
only
of the
do
other
hang,
joint
I only do
tech
hang power cleans and power cleans. That's it.
power? Okay, yeah. I was in a CrossFit gym in St. Bart's last week and I did snatches for the first time in like 5 years. And I was like, why the fuck did I do like I'm never doing that again. That was terrible. I felt terrible the next day. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of my question is around around like um how you're crossing over into this like 40-year-old age. Like what are you cutting out and what are you adding in?
Yeah, so I follow on our Train Hard app. We have a new cycle actually starting on Monday, which I'm really excited about. It's called TH Daily, and it's a 5 day a week track. And the only reason I'm bringing this up, I am pitching it, but more importantly, I'm explaining how I do
Pitch
it.
away.
So it's a
We're
Yeah.
it's
catching. Okay, you
yeah,
pitch. We got
it's a 5 day a week program with one aerobic day, so like longer conditioning day, one
Hmm.
sprint conditioning day. So imagine a sprint conditioning day would be like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 1 minute on, 1 minute off. So you're hitting an aerobic day and a more anaerobic sprint day, two strength days, and then one cross training day. And so that's kind of building up your 5 day a week program to make your overall capability. So what I'm trying to do through this program, it's the same program I follow, is I'm trying to basically hit different time domains, hit different stimulus, and stay super strong or get stronger. And so that's the way I structure my current week.
Let me
Yeah.
follow that up real quick. And then there's another question out there too with recovery, mobility. You talk about again showing up for your family, movement. Obviously, jujitsu requires a lot of flexibility, mobility, movement. What are you doing in those areas now?
I mean, yeah. So if I want to like give the team here some like real like cliff notes, step number one, go get your blood work done, especially your panel that would show your testosterone. Let's make sure if you feel it, I don't care if you feel great or if you feel terrible. If you don't know what's going on underneath the hood, I think that's a problem. So right now you can get it done really cheap. So that's step one. Step two is start training, right? Start off your morning with 45 grams of protein. The reason why this is so important is that it allows you to not be starving midday and go grab the first thing you find. You have to be intentional the night before to think through what you're going to eat in the morning. And it allows you to be intentional with the following meal after breakfast because instead of being starving, you're going to be hungry, but you'll make a more conscious decision. So in
You
each one of
mentioned
your
that number twice, though. Sorry to cut you off, but 45. Does that matter, like how much you weigh or anything else? I just didn't want to skip
I
that.
mean, it could be 40, it could be 50. I just like 45 because it kind of blends with my whole like idea of 45 days. So it kind of just sounds good.
Gotcha.
So, but the whole idea is like a lot of guys, they skip breakfast, they drink coffee, and then midday comes around, they grab the first thing they could find. We want to try and avoid that. And if you could try and get 45 grams of protein per meal, it's really hard to eat terrible if you're prioritizing protein because once you eat about 30, 40, 50 grams of protein, you don't have that same desire to go eat a whole bag of potato chips. Like you'll eat an appropriate amount, right? Like, so you should have carbs for sure, but you should prioritize the protein on the plate, which is a good general theme, right? So I'd say prioritize protein to start the morning off. Make sure you're getting in movement on a regular basis, like steps or burpees or whatever, and make sure you get your blood work in. On top of that, for mobility and recovery, I think that hydration is critical. I think starting off the morning with large, like two large glasses, allows you to jumpstart it. In my opinion, I think that quad smashing, which is taking a kettlebell and placing it on your quads, allows you to slowly break up the fascia so you don't get knee pain. So I would encourage people to either foam roll on their quads or their IT band and or use a kettlebell and let it rest there. That is a very useful tool along with something called the couch stretch. So couch stretch is where you put your back of your foot on the couch and you watch TV. Quad smash is you're using a foam roller. If you do those two things along with hydration, you're winning.
Gotcha. Okay. Question out there. Who had one? Sorry.
I did, Greg.
Oh, go ahead.
Jason, thanks for doing this. I met you at a bunch of different CrossFit events, once at the games, once at Wadapalooza, so I appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah.
I was going to say before Mike asked his question, he should just follow the Train Hard app because I followed you guys for like 4 months before I started training for a High Rocks race. I kind of switched it up a little bit. My question is, I know how you get like your good workouts in the morning, and I do as well. But how do you get like that extra edge that you want from working out? I know you do jujitsu, and I'm guessing that's going to be your answer. But I played sports in college. I played competitive sports. I'm used to doing a lot, and sometimes I feel like the workout in the morning is not enough, even though I know it's enough. And I have young kids and family responsibilities, so it's like almost impossible to do a second activity a day. How do you like cure that itch? Of like the maximum amount of working out.
Yeah, I mean, you're a competitive guy, right? You're a collegiate athlete, you're a competitive guy. I think reminding yourself of like what are your goals and what are your priorities. So if you say, "Hey, I want to get ready for a high rocks and I want to try and set a world record," well, you're going to have to probably dedicate more than 45 minutes in the morning to your training. But if your goal is just to show up as a husband, as a father, and to look pretty jacked, and if you're comfortable with the way you look, like if you're happy with the way you look, that's probably step one, and then we can start working on capability. But if you're not happy with the way you look, we can start tinkering things that don't require much more time, right? You could increase your effort. You could look at your nutrition and see how that's going. But I would say that the biggest thing that you have to do is like more is not always better, but being intentional in your training and then reminding yourself that you don't have to be a D1 athlete anymore to still be jacked, capable, and look the way you want. Like I train a fraction of the way I used to, and I still feel pretty comfortable in my ability and the way I look. So more isn't always better. It's just this addictive personality that you think it is. And I'm raising my hand and saying that's mine too. But you have to remind yourself of like, dude, you don't need more. You should go spend that time playing with your kids. You know what I mean? Like as long as you're comfortable with the way you look and the way you feel.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I want to follow that up because now we're getting into looks a little bit, the aesthetic of it. The dad bod thing, I mean, and yesterday alone, there was um, the Sacha Baron Cohen
I
thing
knew
that
you
came
were
out.
going to
I
get
mean,
there.
that Borat's gotten ripped, he's gotten jacked, that guy. And he was
Has
catching all
he?
sorts of flack. Yeah, he's on the cover of Men's Fitness now, and he got divorced, and they're calling it his like midlife crisis body, and he's playing a superhero. Anyway, the guy's gotten like lean and jacked, and he's catching some shit for it overall from like, I think, women that are saying, it's too much and we like dad bods and all this. Do we think this dad bod thing is harmless, or that we think it sends the wrong message, to men about health at any age? Like, I just feel like kids are getting softer earlier. And if anything, we're seeing guys later in life waking up and realizing that it's not too late, and getting back in shape. I think it matters. I'm curious on your take.
Yeah, I think it does matter. I think that we need fit, capable men. I think it's very, very, very important. I think that when life goes sideways and there needs to be good men with good that there needs to be capable men around to help. And I think this idea that we're I just want guys to feel comfortable in their own skin, and I want them to be highly capable to be able to protect and provide for their family. If they could do that, then we're winning. But chances are is that if you have this quote unquote dad bod, you're probably not as capable as you need to be. And I think you need to start training immediately. If my kids are going to go run in the street, if my kids are going to need me to go act and lift them and carry them out of places, I want to feel confident that I could do that. And I think that the dad bod, it almost gives this validation that it's okay to let yourself go. And I think once you have kids, it's an even more of a reason not to let yourself go. That's even more of a reason to double down on why it's so important to be fit and to be capable. Because I don't want to be a liability for my kids even 20, 30 years from now. I want to be the most jacked grandpa on the planet so they don't have to worry about taking care of me. And I can go do stuff with my kids. So I think it sends the wrong message. I think that you should do everything in your power to be as physically fit as you can for your family. That's really important.
Where's
And
the
and
line?
and it's a byproduct of what your children see too. So like, I'll give you a real life example. My son last like a couple weeks ago deadlifted 2 plates for the first time, and so he's 11 and he deadlifted 225, right? And at the time he deadlifted it, and I looked at him, I was like, "Hey, bro, I'm just letting you know, like that's really a great accomplishment. You should be really proud of yourself. Not many men can do that." And the way he looked at me really like hit home because he goes, "Dad, what are you talking about?" He's like, "Everybody we know can deadlift this bar." And it's just an example of like what your kids see becomes their perception of reality. And if we could surround our children with like-minded guys who want to, I'm not even talking about the deadlift. That's just an analogy, that are always trying to strive for more, to be the best version, to treat people with respect, to love hard, but also be able to be capable. That's what I want to be surrounded by for my son.
Where is your line also on shifting into, okay, like mine has changed a little bit. Like I would rather be like a little bit, I'd rather have an extra pound or two and also still enjoy the piece of pizza, with my kids and all that. Where's your line kind of on that? I think again, there's this, hey, not into the dad bod thing and letting yourself go. But there's also this little scale back from the extremism, even that I'm guilty of too. Like, let me be a little less ripped and actually like not be as stringent on the diet as much. And like, I just don't want to be that guy who's special ordering all the time or
No.
who doesn't go to In-N-Out with my kids. And again, not all the time, but like, where's your line on that?
Yeah, I don't think you should be that guy. I don't. I think that you could be highly capable and look the way you want without being that guy. And I actually think you should be really careful as a dad on the way you talk about things and the way that you, especially food, especially with young girls, you have to be so aware of when you're doing these challenges or different things and what it represents. I would really encourage guys to add and not restrict anything they're doing. Like add more protein, not restricting foods. I think it sends the wrong message at times. So I would encourage guys just to like kind of take a deep breath. You don't have to be taking Tupperware to a party, but you should be well balanced. And I think if you're a well balanced guy, you're probably going to be pretty fit and capable.
Mm. You've mentioned provide a number of times. Not just on the protect and the physical side of things, but provide. And you touched on also early on, you've owned a number of different gyms and brick and mortar, and you had gone international with everything. What's success look like to you now? Yeah, even as have you scaled back in terms of like, are we chasing money? Are we chasing time? Are we chasing a blend of it? Like, how do you see it, in terms of success there?
I mean, obviously, I'd like to be able to generate more revenue to be able to provide for my family more and more and more, of course. But I want to be able to do that by making a bigger impact on more men. And I think that the brick and mortar has treated me really well for a long time. But what we're doing at Train Hard deeply inspires me because I could impact on a greater scale. I could take my skill set and expand it across many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of men. And I think if I could do that, make a deep, meaningful impact, really do that, then I'm gonna be able to provide for my family better. And that'll make me feel very, very fulfilled. Because I don't want to just take somebody's money. Like I want when someone gets charged by Train Hard, I want them to look at that credit card charge and be like, damn, dude, I would pay triple of that because these guys have a strong community with a strong code, with a good standard that's making me a better husband and father. And if I could do that across many thousands of people, then I could take that and I could go provide more for my family, go do more philanthropic things, which is really important to me.
Hmm. What's something that you used to believe about training that you don't, or success even that you don't anymore?
I don't think you need a bunch of complexity in your training. I think you need a consistent training over anything else. And I think that complexity, like snatches, muscle ups, they're cool if you're trying to chase something. But I think at the end of the day, you should get into the gym, have a solid program, move on with your day, and just show up for your family. And I think that's changed for me, right? Because before I was chasing these bigger numbers, chasing these things. I was competing professionally in CrossFit. Now I look at it through a different lens of like, why am I working out in the first place? And that's been the biggest change for me is reflecting on that.
Hmm. Michael mentioned this for a second, and I just don't want to pass over it. What do you think the future of CrossFit is? I'm curious.
Well,
Again, we go back such a long time in this, and like watched it just grow and grow and grow. And I actually owned an affiliate for a while myself, and I'm really curious.
Yeah, I mean, so currently the current state of CrossFit is like this weekend is the CrossFit Games. I don't even know if any of you guys knew that. Um,
Yeah, I knew it, but they didn't do a really good job of promoting it, did they?
no.
No.
Uh, there's currently multiple parties, two or three that I'm aware of that are interested in purchasing CrossFit. So CrossFit is currently for sale. It's like
Oh,
public. This is like public information. And I think whoever buys it is going to have to really do some like significant work to build back. And they're going to have to remove a lot of the friction from the past. They're going to have to basically start over, start from scratch, and rebuild the brand, rebuild the culture within the business. That's my take.
Hmm.
yeah.
Sounds like
Greg,
a
you know what I think about when I think about CrossFit is Kirk. And so I'll tell you this, like Kirk's not on the call, but last year we were in Breckenridge with a group of guys including Greg and Kirk. And Greg and I were like, hey, we're gonna go over to the Breckenridge CrossFit. It's down the street from the house. I was like, come on, Kirk, go with us. And he was like, no. And I was like, we looked at the workout. I was like, you could totally do this work. And I was like, I will never do CrossFit. Like, it's just, I will only get hurt there. And
Mhm.
how old is he? 50,
53.
53? And his mindset is like, that's not for me no matter what. And you're talking about an in shape guy that could easily do what we did, but it's just a brand issue that they're going to have. And I don't know if they ever get over that.
They're going to need to do a lot of work. They're going to have to, I mean, I have so many strong opinions on this. I've tried to have strong opinions from early days, but it was, yeah, it's just, it's very complicated. The CrossFit games have been a blessing and a curse in some ways because it gives a false perception of what happens within the gym. I think that leadership needs to make a lot of really difficult decisions and they've kind of delayed those. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, I want it to be successful. They just sometimes can't get out of their own way. And I hope they can
Do
and they
you
can
think
try.
High Rocks replaces it?
I don't think High Rocks will replace it, but the events, I mean, High Rocks, the reason why High Rocks is booming is because it's so consistent. People can wrap their head around it. They could then chase down the next time. They could start evaluating. They know what to expect. The consistency matters. CrossFit's
Yeah.
always reinventing the wheel, so it's hard as a spectator to wrap your head around it. High Rocks is
Yep.
coming in and kind of bridging the gap between CrossFit and a 10K, and they're doing a
Yep.
great job of it.
Mm. What are you guys doing in the mornings? I'm shifting gears back to sustainability, longevity, again, basics that are here. What are you having your guys do in the mornings?
I mean,
Snatches.
yeah, snatching. I think you should just go for a 1 rep max snatch every morning. No, I think the greatest way to start my morning that I've found is I mean, I'm pretty like consistent with this is I believe you should train hard and train early. I think it's really important because it removes the distractions from the day. If you could train midday, if you could train in the evening, like tonight, I'm going to jiu-jitsu at 7 p.m., which I normally don't like doing because it really affects my sleep. But if that's the time that we have to do it, that's fine. But most guys have so many obligations that occur as soon as 8 a.m. hits that it's easy for them to make excuses why they can't train. So, in my opinion, the best way to start your morning is wake up early. Early is relative to the individual. I'd recommend reading or diving into faith of some type, getting outside, getting some sunlight, and working out.
For the guy that has not done that before, okay, or the guy,
Why not? Why not?
yeah, and there are a number of them out there. For the guy that has not done that, that has not been, he's not a morning guy, or it hasn't been his routine, or he's let himself go. Any tips or advice that you have for how hard it is to get started, to answer that alarm and come out and get it done?
Well, I mean, here's the first thing. If you're not a morning guy, then what kind of guy are you? Meaning, like, so if you're not a morning guy, okay, but when do you train? Are you an afternoon guy? Are you an evening guy? Are you not a guy? Like, you're not that guy. So if you're deciding that you're going to train and you're like, I want to change my life, I want to work out. Well, then you may have no other choice but to become a morning guy. It might be the only time you could do it because every time you try and train midday or evening, you always have other obligations, including your family, that come up. And so the nice thing about training before the kids ever wake up is that that time is solely yours. You are fully in control of it. And I understand that some people have shift work and we work a lot with law enforcement. I get it. Not everybody has that need, but I imagine everybody on this call, I could be wrong, primarily starts work at, I don't know, 7. Well, can we get up and just get 45 minutes of training in? And I think more breeds more, and you have to earn your confidence and not let your momentum be at 0. So if you're starting from scratch and you're listening to this, I would encourage you to set an alarm for 5 minutes early tomorrow. 5 minutes. That's it. Just 5 minutes. Wake up. You're not going to have time to dive into faith or a book because 5 minutes is not that long. And all I want you to do is just 5 burpees every minute for 5 minutes. That's it. Just start there. Go to the ground, come back up again 5 times for 5 minutes. That's it. And then do that for like a week or two and then progress from there. But what'll happen is you'll earn your confidence and it'll start creating habits. And then next thing you know, you start waking up 10 minutes early, 15 minutes early. You'll start going to bed earlier. You'll stop getting off the screen earlier. You'll stop drinking so much the night before because it'll help you sleep better. All those things will start to snowball.
Are you seeing this? And I think with community and accountability for men in your group? Again, start small, one or two, you get out there and do it. The next thing there's two guys. Now there's how many guys are showing up in the morning? And do you have rules or standards, or what are you seeing that's generating momentum and getting people coming back in this and this growing the way to
I, I mean, we just the latest we do is 6:30 a.m. um for our morning workouts on Saturday morning. So I intentionally do so I get questions all the time, "Hey, can we do it at 9?" It's like, "No, we can't do it at 9." Can we do it at 8? No, we can't. We can't because we have other obligations that occur. You know, my kids have sports. We have other things going on. And I also want to attract the guy that's willing to go to bed a little early on Friday, have 3 less drinks, and show up on Saturday morning. And then after they're done at 7:15, they grab a coffee and they feel like $1,000,000. And so I've seen it grow because we're creating a culture where once people kind of figured out, like, damn, I feel really good when I start my morning off like this, that and it's more breeds more. Michael, to your question about do I drink? The answer is yes, but I would recommend that all guys listening to this take 45 days off to reevaluate what moderation looks like for them. And so several times a year, I don't drink for about 45 days just to reevaluate what moderation is. So like my wife and I, we're at a stage in our life where like we'll go to Vegas for the night and we just have a great time. We dance until whenever and we're going to drink and that's okay. I'm intentional with it, but I'm not going to have 3, 4 beers every night at home. Like that's what, when you remove the alcohol, you realize you're not dependent on it. You don't have to have it, but there's going to be moments where maybe you and your wife want to go wine tasting, and maybe that's the time that you do it.
about to turn 40. Who inspires you now? Who are some of your mentors or advisors, guys that you look to that seem to know where the puck is going?
I mean, the guys at the men's club are always a great outlet for me to kind of talk about life and what's occurring and just hearing from their perspective. Obviously, I have my dad and my close, like my in-laws and my family, and they serve a really valuable purpose for me, and especially my dad. My dad came here from Iran. He had just such a different background growing up, and his life perspective is so unique that he's played a dramatic role for me on how I see things too.
Mm.
Like, I mean, his whole mentality is like life is going to be hard and that you should prepare yourself as much as possible and enjoy the moments that are good and get through the moments that are bad because he's seen a lot
Mm.
of different things along the years.
What do your days look like now? You mentioned again, we start this early. No, we can't start this later. By the way, like I love similarly that, I always have a workout basically early Saturday morning and it's changed my Friday nights, for the better intentionally, on there too. My group comes over on Sunday mornings, not as early as they used to, but it's nice to combine on Sundays. But those things that really have reverse engineered back to intentional planning, the night before. Uh, and my weeks are different now in my 50s than they used to be, and we're about to be empty nesters. So what are your days? You get that done in the morning, you knock that out. What do your days look like?
Yeah, I mean, one way also, by the way, for the guys from a drinking perspective, just one last note, and then I'll jump on your actual question, is that one of the codes that I live by is that I train every day and that I won't allow my nights to affect my mornings. So for me, if I go out in Vegas, my wife and I are out late, it doesn't change the fact that I'm still going to wake up early to go train. Like that's something that I've like settled as a core value of mine that I won't allow an evening to affect my morning because then it starts to affect multiple days in a row and that's kind of like where I draw a line in the sand for me. And everybody's got to figure out what works for them.
So
In
you
regard
got a subpar workout, if you will, but just push yourself to get there to not disrupt.
That's right. To do not disrupt the momentum. Like just go do something, right? I'm not going to hit a PR, but I'm going to do something. And so my days are normally like they start off in the mornings. Again, like I said, I've been diving in more into faith. So that's the way I've been starting the day, along with training. And then from there, I just typically I'll be doing podcasts, I'll be doing meetings with our team, and then throughout the day I'll be filming different things and creating content. And then for the most part, I mean, during the summer it's different because I spend a lot of time with my kids during the summer, just because my son wants to constantly be playing baseball and whatever. But typically, I'll take my daughter to go to practice water polo before school. And then after school, I'll do stuff with the kids. We'll have dinner together. So basically, the middle of the day is a very like work block for me. and the beginning and the after school are more like family time. And then after the kids go to bed, I'll get back on. I'll work some more before I go to sleep.
Was there anything in particular that has drawn you more towards practicing faith now? You've mentioned that a couple of times too. Was there a tipping, an instant, or is there something in life, or why were you not doing it earlier? Maturity, anything.
I think I was raised I went to private Catholic school. I think it was too much of like not a relationship with God, but too much of like sit, stand, do this, do this. It was very transactional, and I just didn't really find value in it. As I've gotten older and I've kind of been seeking out faith and a purpose and whatnot, it just seemed to be calling me in my life. I've just been given signs that just clearly indicate that I should continue to explore this relationship. And so that's what I've been doing. And it's been really healthy. It's been really great. And I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed diving into daily prayer. It's been really impactful in my life. And yeah, it's been great.
With your
Yeah.
uh, with your kids in the sports that they're playing and that you're seeing in there too. Uh, what's your take on youth sports? Now you've mentioned baseball a few times. Like my boys were both baseball and travel and select. I mean, in youth sports is it's something, again, as a competitor, and to me, all the dads that seem to kind of have the greatest or the best grasp on it and perspective were the dads that were athletes, and also specifically the ones that are still actually athletic, in there and not just living vicariously through their kids. What are you seeing with youth sports? Good, bad, or indifferent?
I think that my son in particular has been blessed, and I've been blessed to have him surrounded by really great coaches that align with our philosophy of hard work, dedication, commitment, and treating people the way you want to be treated. So I think sports, along with training, are really important for children because they teach adversity, and life is going to be hard. And baseball is such a great sport for this. So my son does all the sports, but baseball, I think right now for his age is like the best because you have to go up to bat, be down two strikes, and can you battle back? And I just think there's something about that analogy to life and learning that failure, like you know what I mean? I think there's something about that that's really powerful. So as far as youth sports is concerned, I think that all kids should be exposed to micro doses of adversity. And I think that sports are the best way to do that, along with training. If your kids aren't interested in sports, there's other things you could do, like plays and music and whatever, but they have to be exposed to hard things so that they could learn like what it feels like to have to overcome it,
Hmm.
That's my take.
I know we talked about drinking. We covered that, okay, in there. Uh, kind of covered a little bit of like nutrition there, but what about like what's your take on food and nutrition and how you eat? I go back to again the basics, and I love the original kind of even
Eat meat, nuts
experiment.
and
Yeah,
seeds, some fruit,
okay,
yeah.
exactly. Where are you now?
I'd say I'm probably more on that train. I would say that I think for myself, every meal should have at least 40 to 50 grams of protein so I could feel satiated and full without instantly gravitating towards garbage. I try and eat real food, but I stay balanced in my approach. Like I've also earned that from training hard for 20 plus years. And so I have enough muscle density that I burn enough calories that I can get away with just eating like moderate. Like I eat well, but not as well as people would think because I just want to have good balance in my life, be able to go out with my kids, be able to go do these things. But most of the time, I'm looking at food through the lens of like macronutrients, protein, fat, and carbohydrate. And I want to make sure that I'm getting a protein source. So I'm not just instantly eating 50,000 French fries. That's in a nutshell the way I look at nutrition.
How much fiber do you eat every day?
That's interesting. I have a specific fiber cereal that I actually have really enjoyed. It's made my gut health just feel so much better. Um,
One.
I don't know how much is fiber is in it, but that's a really good question. I don't know.
What's the cereal?
It's like a brand, it's like a brand thing.
Fiber
It's like
one.
brand,
This
like they're
stuff
like,
is important in your 40s and 50s, Jeff.
I know.
it's, It's all brand buds. It changed my
Yeah.
life. All brand
All brand
buds.
buds. I gotta write that one down. All right,
It
cool.
changed my life. It really did. And then, now I know I'm talking on a podcast of 40 to whatever year old guys, that's but that was good for me. That's been healthy.
Um, I just had a quick question. So Greg kind of alluded to it, and you mentioned at the beginning of like, doing burpees in the morning or whatever, but my question is, there's so much noise out in the market right now, and I, and I would imagine, like, I've tried to, like, I try to block all that out and work with certain people, but it seems to me like it's really confusing folks of like where to start, how to start, what they should be focusing on, and everyone's trying to, I hate to say the word shortcut. I think that's a bad word, but they're trying to understand like what's the fastest way from here to there, and there's so much misinformation about it. Who or how or where would you advise people to think in those terms? Like, this is the starting point.
For someone who's been off the path for a while and they want to get back on.
Yeah, and also people that are maybe on the path but maybe hit plateaus. Like, what do you like? How do you navigate those kinds of things, especially
I
as
mean,
you're aging?
I mean, I would say that having an appropriate program based on your goals. So like, I mean, using our app, we have three main programs starting on Monday that are all starting a new 45-day cycle that I could not be more excited about. One of them is more of a bodybuilding focus. One of them is more strength conditioning. Another one is limited gear, limited time. I
Yeah.
think that if you find the right program with the right culture that inspires you, right, with the good videos, with good whatever, that's really important. If you're already on the path, but you're like wanting to like level up, finding the right program. I think if you do not exercise regularly, you have to just start by stacking wins. And I don't think what that means is tomorrow going cold turkey on soda and drinking and working out 5 days a week. I think you have to slowly incorporate those things into your lifestyle. So I'd say for someone who feels that they're plateaued but are regularly training, they need to find a program that inspires them and that hits their goals. And I think we have three of them at Train Hard that are really effective. I think that if you are not training at all, you have to start tomorrow by waking up 5 minutes earlier and doing 25 burpees or 45 burpees. And like I really mean that. Like I think that we have overcomplicated fitness so much. You just have to move your body and start stacking wins. And then all of a sudden, it'll open your mind to be like, hey, you know what I'm really interested in? I'm really interested in doing this high rocks, or I'm really interested in putting on muscles. So let me find this great bodybuilding program. Or you know what? I want to be a super capable dad. So I love Jason's Train Hard Daily program. But it starts off by you first have to build the discipline that you know you could do it.
Does the Echo bike ever not suck?
Dude, that's a great question. And the Echo bike is the worst of all the air bikes. That's the hardest one to create energy on because the fan is so damn huge. So the answer is no, because the fitter you get, the fitter you get, the faster you go. The problem with CrossFit is, or even strength conditioning or any fitness modality is, the fitter you get, it's not like things get like the things continue to get harder. You just get better. Like instead of carrying 100-pound sandbag, now you carry 150. Obviously, training makes things lighter, but you also can lift more. Whereas the odd thing is in jujitsu, it's the actual opposite. So it's funny, the better you get at jujitsu, the worse of shape you could actually be in because you become so technically proficient that you could find places to dominate others and you could just rest. So you get black belts in jujitsu actually get in pretty poor shape because they're so technically proficient. Whereas at CrossFit or fitness, it never really gets easier.
Well, to me, it's the hardest piece of equipment.
Oh yeah, sucks.
I think the erg, the rower, the skiing, any of those that again, the better you get at it, the harder it actually gets because you'll never beat that damn clock, or that number. You just keep wanting to get it lower and lower, and it gets harder and harder to do that.
Yeah, and then mentally you start to break through, right? So you have workouts like, I don't know, 500-meter row. In the beginning, when you first start off, you don't have the mental capacity. You're limited. You're limited. Oftentimes mentally in the beginning for most athletes, they're limited, and then over time, then it becomes a physical thing. But that becomes later once they really start to break through the mindset. It's like the workout Fran. for the most part in the beginning, they just don't know how to go fast. Then once they start developing this like next gear, then it becomes like a physical thing. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits to all of that style of training, especially like overcoming doing hard things.
Mm. I think there's a really good point on that, that you don't really know where, what your max is, and you don't really know what high intensity is, or all. It takes a long time to figure that stuff out
Yep.
and to figure
So
out where the line is between too much of that going over and potentially either getting hurt or not being able to get up the next day to do it and to recover and so on and so forth. We've seen, I think that's just a really good point in the mental and physical aspect of it, of how much time it takes to think about, time it is to develop a capacity for intensity as well as consistency.
that was my question, Jason, is like it falls on, so for years and years it was just all out red line, every
Yep.
single workout, all out red line. And then about, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, probably, I don't know, Greg would know more than me. I don't know when I started doing this, but I went more and towards like zone 2 for most of my workouts, like heavy lifting, zone 2 cardio, and maybe one intense day, right? And I've kind of stepped that up over time as I've kind of dialed back and this. But my question is, where do you see zone 2 fitting when it comes to um, the workouts plans that you're planning for people and the app that you're doing, like how does that all fit in there?
I think a zone two, probably at least once a week. I
Okay.
think from a high intensity, like RPE 10, maybe you're doing that once a week. So RPE 10, you're like once a week. RP, like rate of perceived exertion, those are our
Okay.
sprint conditioning days. So sprint
So
conditioning
what are you
days,
in, like most days are 6, 7? Like where are you
yeah,
most?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's a great way. Like, so this is, I think CrossFit actually was a blessing, and a curse. It was a blessing because it taught people intensity and they got great results. It was a curse because basically it was taught that you have to redline every day
Every
or
single
you
day.
suck. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that there has to be a blend of that because it's just not going to allow you to have consistency over many, 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 many years. And so for me now, really I go RP 10, like really hard effort, probably like once a week, aside from jiu-jitsu. That's a little bit different. And
Yeah.
I think that's what builds up a good protocol.
Cool.
Mm. Coming up on the hour here, thinking about sustainability, consistency, longevity, which leads me to legacy. You've had titles and trophies and business and scale and all of these different things and a book. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want your kids, the community, to think of you as, and to remember you for?
I think just looking as a guy who treated people the way he wanted to be treated, trying to make an impact on as many people as possible in a really positive way, and who reached his potential as a husband, as a father. I mean, that's the most important thing to me. Like, I want to be looked at as like, dude, that dude was a good dad. He was a great husband, and he really treated people with love, care, respect, and wanted the best for them. Like, that's really important to me. And that's what we're trying to build at Train Hard. And that's what I'm trying to do as a dad. I mean, I don't get any second chances, neither do you guys, right? So it's like, I'm trying to reach my potential now and be really present and focused, especially my family, because time goes by fast. And that's the most important thing for me.
Where's Train Hard? Where are you 3 to 5 years down the road? Where do you see this going? What's your vision for it?
I'd like to have like quarterly events where we get guys together and we really try and make a real impact on them. I'd also like to have these micro groups throughout the country that are world where they could actually get together on a weekly basis and feel the same thing that I feel here in the Bay Area that we're hosting. And I'd like to personally be in a place where we can give more. That's the goal, right? I want to be able to give. I want to be able to generate revenue through Train Hard so that we can go give to things that we're really passionate about, including pediatric cancer. So that's the vision.
That's amazing. Jason Khalipa, thank you so much. We're going to wrap this up right here on the hour. I really appreciate your time. Uh, Here's a little outro for you. You can steal this one too. Okay. If you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jason
Give me the
Khalipa.
chat. Yeah.
No chat GPT. Come on.
No
We can,
chat GPT.
that's one of our visions is, well, anyone can go to that. We in middle age are going to actually write our shit like we used to do old school.
I like that.
Jason Khalipa reminds us that maximizing midlife isn't about chasing trophies or hacks. It's about showing up consistently for yourself and the people who matter most. His life is proof that the habits that make you a great athlete can also make you a great father, husband, and man. If you are in your 40s or 50s wondering where to start, his message is simple. Start with the basics, move your body, build your community, and be the man your family can count on. If you enjoyed the conversation, make sure you subscribe to the Midlife Male newsletter. Make sure you follow Jason, get on the Train Hard program, and you will be on your way towards maximizing midlife. Jason Khalipa, thank you, guys. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Greg. You got to
Thank you so
increase it to
much.
60 because, you know, those of us over 60 feel very slighted
No
when you
one
say
will
40
you
and
and say
50.
over 60, Evan, okay?
Uh-huh.
Except those are a lot of fucking diplomas behind you. So there's a
There
lot.
are a lot of diplomas. I feel like that's pretty solid, bro.
Well, you know, you fake it till you make it, right?
I love it.
Thank you so much. If there's anything we
Thanks,
can do,
guys.
yeah, we're happy to do it. So appreciate you and everything you're doing.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that's
Bye,
great.
guys.
I think I think for your audience, you know, if you want to do something in the future, if you want to, you know, work together on a challenge for your audience, I don't know how you want to do it, but yeah, I mean, if you have middle-aged guys, like that's the audience I want to speak to. So,
Look, absolutely. Again, huge admirer of everything that you're doing. I'm fascinated and inspired by the morning and the men's group thing here. If you're looking at even expanding those to other areas or things like that, I think there's a number of things that we can talk about. Again, it's about getting guys up and moving and being better than they were the day or decade before. And like you, we just want to reach more men and help. And I want to amplify messages and people like yourself. So again, thank you for that.
yeah. So in the newsletter, if you want to copy the th.fit, that's our website. And if you want to try and, yeah, if you want to collaborate on anything in particular, just let me know. But yeah, that's the goal. We're on the same path.
Absolutely. We'll definitely be reaching out. Thank you so much. I'll shoot you an email also just to get some lifestyle photos and stuff from you that you feel comfortable. We'd run with the article and we'll put you on the cover. We do this digital magazine cover that gets a lot of gets a lot of great views. People really dig it. So we'll
Okay.
go from there. All right. Thank you
Sounds
so
good.
much. Take care.
Have a good one.